Hey, youth leaders, it's Pastor Matt here. And I just want to say a couple of things and give you guys just some thanks and also some instructions for the weeks to come. I just want to say thank you. Thank you so much for all the work that you do. I think we have some of the best youth leaders that are around, and that's the reason our ministry has been successful over the years. It's the reason we've seen kids get saved. It's the reason we've seen kids go into ministry. So I want to say thank you. As a parent and as a youth pastor, thank you so much for the work that you've done. Um, I want to try to communicate with you guys a little bit by video in the future, just so that hopefully there's some things that you'll catch, and I want to say them over and over again, and hopefully by sending them out on video, you'll watch the video and hear it. Really want to just let you know that game night is coming up on Wednesday, and we'll need all of your help for that. So hopefully you'll be there and you'll help out with that. The following week on the 23rd is Thanksgiving, and just want to say the day before Thanksgiving. That Thanksgiving is on the 24th, obviously, but happy Thanksgiving. Won't be meeting that week. But then on the 30th of November is really kind of our last regular night of youth group for the whole year, for the 2016 year. And if there's something that in your small groups that if you haven't accomplished this yet, hopefully everybody by now has one of these books, and you've started to collect information on all your students. We got these nice notes of a shepherd pages in these books. By the way, if you don't have a book yet for some reason, you missed that. I'm sorry about that, but get one from Misty. Talk to Misty, and she'll give you one of these and get that in your hands. And hopefully get that before November 30th. What we really like you to do is we'd like you to make sure that you know who's in your small group, that you've acquired their basic information, whether that's their phone numbers, especially their cell numbers, guys. If they have a cell phone, you want the cell phone because that's going to be the primary way that you communicate with them. If they don't have a cell phone, you're going to have to work a little harder and dig a little deeper and find out what social media or whatever, what do they use so that you can communicate with them. But I really want you to get a way to communicate with everybody, and, because that's going to be super important. One of the things I'm hoping that you can do over Christmas break or sometime shortly after that is get together with your small group and do some kind of social function. A Christmas break would be great during that. If not then, if you can't do it then, maybe later in January at some point. But I really want to encourage you to build some unity, build some friendships and relationships within your small group, and do some kind of function outside of youth group, just with your small group kids at some point. And the sooner the better. If you can do it during Christmas break, great. If you can't, just do it as soon as you can. But get that information together, and then what I'd like you to start thinking about over Christmas break, if you haven't done so already, is just kind of where do you think the students in your group are at? If you were there during the 4-chair discipleship night, you kind of heard the description of that, and I'll just kind of describe it briefly. Chair number 1 is the unbelieving student, someone who doesn't have a relationship with Christ. Chair number 2 is a believing student. This person is really saved. They have a relationship with Jesus Christ. They're going to heaven someday when they die, but they really haven't started to do much with their faith. They're saved, but they haven't grown a whole lot yet. This probably represents a lot of students in our youth group. The 3rd chair is the chair of the servant. So if you picture, these are people who are believers, and they're trying to reach out and put their faith into practice. They're sharing their faith with their friends. They're they're coming to youth group. They're serving in youth group. They're serving in the church. And they're trying to be used by God in any way, shape, and form that they can. And then the 4th chair is the disciple maker. This is a person who has been serving, been sharing their faith. They've seen someone get saved. At least one person has gotten saved as a result of their ministry, and they've discipled that person. And really, what makes a chair 4 different from chair 3 is that you have somebody that person has led to Christ and discipled is now doing ministry themselves. They're reaching out, they're leading people to Christ, they're discipling people and whatnot themselves. So, chair four, not a lot of people in that chair. Some of you youth leaders I know are in that chair where you've led people to Christ, and now those people are leading people to Christ and doing different things. But that even for that's a chair that's hard to get to. It's hard to see that going on. But that's really the goal of what we're trying to accomplish here. We're trying to see our students get to a point where they're making disciples, and hopefully they're making disciples that are actually going to continue on in the process and make disciples themselves. And that's where we really like to take the ministry. And we're going to focus on that a lot in the new year. I'll be sending out a lot of new videos about that. But over Christmas, what I'd like you to do is just make sure, first of all, you have all of your students' contact info. Make sure that you are praying for them over the Christmas break. Pray for each student by name. And then also reach out to them and try to do something with your group over Christmas break. And then as you're praying, be thinking about where you believe each, and maybe you've had talks with us in your small group about it, so you may know already. But where do you think each student is? What chair are they sitting in? 1, 2, 3, or 4? And start thinking about some steps that you think you might be able to come up with that would help them to make that jump in growth, that would help them to get to that next chair, whether they're in chair 2 and it's getting to 3, or they're an unbeliever and they need to get saved, or whatever it is, or if they're in chair 3, they're serving, but they're maybe they haven't seen anybody really get saved yet. What are some ways? What are some things that you can do to help them move on to that next chair? Man, that's what it's all about, guys. And just want to share real quick, part of my philosophy is that as we get bigger, it's got to be my job to equip you guys and to train you guys to be the disciple makers. I can't disciple, 120, 130, 150, whatever we have kids involved in the ministry. I just can't do that. It really needs to be done through our small groups. And so that puts a lot of responsibility on your shoulders. And I want to make sure that you're as well trained as you possibly can, and that I am praying for you as much as I possibly can to set you up for success. So I'm going to close our time now and pray. But just remember, basically, what I'd like you to be doing over these next few weeks. Number 1, get all the students' information if you haven't done so already. If you don't have one of these books, get one of these books that will help you. And then try to set up a time to get together with your kids and do something socially over Christmas or when you can. And then also make sure that you're praying for your students over the break. Pray for each one by name and try to determine what kind of steps can be taken to get them to the next level of spiritual maturity, whether that's 1 through 4, whatever, if they need to jump to 2 to 4, whatever that is. Be praying about how you can encourage those students to make that jump. And if you need anything from me, don't hesitate to call, and I will try to give you pointers, tips, resources, and whatnot to make that happen. And a lot of what we're going to be doing in the next year is doing that, giving you resources, giving you tips, giving you instruction, and giving you help and prayer to make a difference in the lives of the students that are in your small group. So let me just pray for you, and then this video can be done. Lord, I just thank you so much for our youth leaders. God, I thank you for what that you have accomplished through them already. Lord, we've seen lots of good things happen. We've seen students get saved. Lord, we've seen students grow in their faith and take leaps and bounds in their faith, Lord. God, I pray that you would equip these leaders and prepare them for the ministry that is ahead of them. God, I pray that you bring more leaders into our fold, and leaders that would love students and love you and really be concerned about where each student is going, that they would pray for them, Lord, that they would strategize and try to come up with ways to help them take that next step in their spiritual growth. Lord, we love you and just thank you for the students that you've given us. Lord, I thank you for these leaders that you've given me. And I pray, Lord, that you would allow me to encourage and equip and train them as best I can, Lord, through the power of your Spirit. And Lord, I pray that during Christmas time, that would be an encouraging time for them. Lord, I pray that this season would be life-giving, not life-draining, and help all of us to be able to remain focused on you and the reason for Christmas, Lord, and that Jesus would be exalted in our lives and in the lives of our families, and certainly in our ministry. Lord, we love you with all our hearts in your precious name. Amen.